I'm Larry Ames. I was chair of the Neighborhoods Commission a few years ago. I'm not on it anymore, but I'll talk about the history and then...
Okay, so my name is Jim Carter, and I'm currently Neighborhoods Commissioner for District 6.
And my name is Michael Young. I'm Neighborhoods Commissioner for District 9.
I'm Gary Cunningham, District 1. I serve on the Oversight Committee for Measure B tax, along with Jim Carter.
I'm Juan Estrada. I'm one of the commissioners, along with Mimi Hernandez, for Council District 5.
I am Alan Hinman, District 4 Commissioner.
John Semanek, District 4, and I'm also the president of Penitencia Neighborhood Association.
And there's an extra chair at the end, so should we all shift over one, or?
No, it's okay.
Okay. Yes, slideshow. So I have a few charts to explain how the Neighborhoods Commission started and how it goes together. So can you go to full screen? Just hit F5. Just hit the button F5. Hit the button F5. Yes, from the beginning. There. Hi, I'm Larry Ames. Next chart. Page down. So the purpose of the Neighborhoods Commission, from the official rules, the Neighborhoods Commission shall integrate the voice of the neighborhoods into the city's decision-making processes. And also the Neighborhoods Commission is advisory to the City Council regarding San Jose neighborhoods. And the commission is involved with issues like budget, code enforcement, community engagement, public safety, and transportation. It does not get involved with parks because there is a parks commission. It does not get involved with land use, that's the planning commission. It does not get involved with the other ones. The Neighborhoods Commission kind of handles everything that falls between the cracks and also relates to serving the neighborhoods. It also, as of last year, very recently, is now in charge of the Independent Citizens Oversight Standing Committee. So was it a year or two ago they passed a 0.25% sales tax, and it has a citizen oversight committee to make sure the money is appropriately spent. The Neighborhoods Commission is the one that does that. And the purpose is to empower the neighborhoods. And it's a citizens' input to the community, to the city. Next chart. You just have to sit there and push buttons, just like I did. Okay, so the Neighborhoods Commission came out of the Strong Neighborhoods Initiative. That was in the year 2002. They had Strong Neighborhoods Initiative to help some of the underprivileged, underserved parts of the city get up to speed and get some services. It covered about 1/3 of the city, and it worked until for about 6 years. And then it ended. And the people there realized that it was a good forum for the neighborhoods to work with the city, to work with them. And so they tried to continue the process and to have the dialogue and involve the whole city. And that's how they established the Neighborhoods Commission. It was a pilot program that started in about 2008. It took a year before the whole thing got seated. So in 2009 we had our first meetings. And was officially for a 2-year trial period. At the end of the 2-year trial period, they decided to extend it for another year. Then they extended it again, trying to figure out how to do it. And it was finally made permanent in 2013. So it took a number of years for them to figure out how to do this thing. 2014, we had the first caucuses, and we had our first... They also restructured the process a little bit. So instead of having 3 commissioners per council district, they made it 2 commissioners. So it was 30 people on the board. We got down to 20. Next chart. So this is, you hear about the United Neighborhoods, you hear about the Neighborhoods Commission, you hear about the district leadership groups, and they all have different purposes, and they're a little confusing, and they overlap some. So this diagram shows neighborhoods. They come in different sizes and shapes, all scattered over the different districts. And next chart. The district leadership groups, all those within a given council district, can meet. Like District 6 has that one. Several of the council districts do have some of these things. Some council districts don't. But it's a way to get together and talk about issues in your neighborhood. So, for example, in District 6, we talk about infill, we talk about the Deardown Station Plan, things like that. It's also might have business associations can be members of that, libraries, different things. Then go back one. You went too far. Go page up, page up. Just hit the page up button. That one, that works. Okay, so United Neighborhoods. Not every neighborhood association is a member of this. They're scattered from all over the city. There's come from other cities too. United Neighborhoods of Santa Clara County is of Santa Clara County, and it has people from Mountain View and Morgan Hill in here. It's a great forum for exchanging information. It is a informal advice. It does have insurance benefits and can help with funding, but it has no official voice with the city. Next one. The Neighborhoods Commission represents the different districts in San Jose, and it is an official city commission. So we have an official role with the city government. They do have to listen to us. They don't have to listen to United Neighborhoods. They don't have to listen to the district groups, but we have formal letterhead. You can write official letters to the city. Each district has 2 residents officially representing the district to the commission. Okay, next chart. So the Neighborhoods Commission is unique. Most commissions, the commissioners are appointed by the council. End up being sometimes, depending upon the control of the council member, it can be just a kind of an echo of the council. And so those councils can, if they're not done right, could end up being kind of like a mini council. The Neighborhoods Commission, we are selected by the community. The process, we have a caucus. What happens is each neighborhood association in the district sends delegates to a caucus. A number of people from the community volunteer to be commissioners. Through the caucus process, 2 are selected. The names are forwarded to the city council, who then can accept or deny, but they do not get to choose them. Okay, next. And if somebody leaves at midterm, then the council member can appoint a replacement rather than going through a whole caucus process again. Okay, so this chart here shows the different council districts and who our current commissioners are. Next chart. So I'm not sure if everybody knows how the city works. We have a mayor and city manager configuration. The mayor and city council make policies, but it is the city manager that implements them. The city manager is hired by the city council and reports to the city council, but it's the city manager that then hires and controls the different department heads that then run the different departments. So everybody in the city basically works for the city manager. There are commissions, like there's a Parks Commission, Library Commission, Planning Commission. They are all appointed by the city council, and for most of the commissions, each council member appoints 1 commissioner, and so it's kind of like an echo of the city council, and then that commission then interacts with the department, and so the public input doesn't show up too well in this chart here, but the public input is to talk to the commissions that then deals with the departments. Next chart. The Neighborhoods Commission is different. We are not appointed by the council. We are selected through that caucus process by the different neighborhoods. And the commission its purpose is to give advice to the city council. So the arrows go up from the Neighborhoods Commission to the city council. Also, the city manager advises the controls the Neighborhoods Commission, gives advice, organizes it, and there's feedback from there to to the city manager. So the Neighborhoods Commission impacts both halves of the thing, the city council and the city manager part. Next. So this is a diagram how you, the commission, and everybody fit in on the big picture here. At the bottom there, you can talk to your neighborhood association. The neighborhood association works with the district leadership group, which then works with your representatives on the neighborhoods commission that go to the whole neighborhoods commission that then give input to the mayor, city council, and the city manager. You also can talk directly to your district leadership group. You can go to those meetings. You can also talk to your commissioner. You can talk to the neighborhoods commission. Everybody can talk to the council member, and then the council member can go and talk to the rest of the city council. So there are a lot of paths, but this is how the neighborhoods commission can help carry information from the public to the city council. Next chart. So what do we do? What does the Neighborhoods Commission do? It gets information from the city, that left-hand side. Information from the city, they come and present it to the Neighborhoods Commission, and then we present it out to the communities. We talk to the different District 6 groups, to the different neighborhood associations in our area. We try to get the information from the city down to the public. We also listen to the public and then get that information back up to the city. Sometimes the city, different department heads or whatever will come to the Neighborhoods Commission and give presentations or ask us to get the information out to the public. We will act as a facilitator for it. So for example, we had hearings on the police drones where we facilitated meetings of the for the police department to work with the public. We facilitated those meetings. Sometimes the city will come and present to the Neighborhoods Commission as a focus group, as a trial run, as a beta test to see how the policies work with the public. They will present it to us, and then after they refine it, then they will bring it forward to everybody else. So that's a perfect good use for us. One thing we did not want to be is just a box that was checked, where they said, where somebody had said that they had to talk to the public, so they would come and talk to us for 20 minutes and then say, thank you, we've addressed the public. Well, no, we didn't do anything. All we did was sit there and not do any real work because we sat and listened to you for 20 minutes. So that doesn't accomplish anything. If they just present to us and say, okay, we've talked to the public, that does not count. And also, we did not want to be a diversion where, oh, go listen to the public. Go to some place that people are not happy there, so they want to talk to somebody. It doesn't matter who they're listening to, they just want to talk to somebody. And if we don't get to give advice on that or bring information, make recommendations back to City Council, if all we were there was to be an audience for people talking, that does not accomplish anything either. So the first 4 parts are perfectly valid roles for the Neighborhoods Commission. The last 2, we make sure that we don't get into that position. Can you hit the page down? So things that we've worked on over the years, we've worked on city policies such as tree policies, the outreach policy, dealt with homelessness for some time. It's not the purpose of the Neighborhoods Commission to deal with the homeless problem, but it is how the neighborhoods interact with the homeless issue. So help getting information out to the neighborhoods about the different programs that are working on. Worked on the city's bylaws process. There was a policy 0.4. We reviewed it and gave input on that. Illegal dumping, trash pickup, fireworks, illegal fireworks. We've worked on transportation, gave input on location of BART stations, unmanned aerial drone system that talked with the drone. And every year, one of the main things we do is give input on the budget, on the city's budget. We review it and give citizens input on it. So, for example, a number of years when police and fire were the big issues, but you don't put the entire city budget on police and fire. You don't have a city if you do that. You need some money for community centers and gang preventions and libraries, and that helps also. And that helps with the gang problems too. And we help present that balance to the city, and they listened to us and included budgets for the city community centers. Next chart. So anyhow, the meetings are open to the public. Check the city's website. Usually it's on the second Wednesday of the month. I think I have the wrong time. It's at 6 o'clock now, isn't it? So, sorry, I didn't update the chart. They moved the times to 6 o'clock. And check the city's website, and I think that's all I have. So.
Sometimes it's in the tower, on the 17th floor.
That's right. Sometimes it's different locations at different times. So check the city website. I think that's it. Okay. Who wants to speak next?
Thank you, Larry. Just to emphasize one of the things that Larry was talking about is the caucus process. I'm currently on the ad hoc caucus committee. The caucuses are going to be taking place shortly in the month of April for the odd numbers of districts. So if you're in an odd number district, you're eligible, if you aren't on the commission, to be running for the commission. The caucuses are also, the dates for the caucuses are on the website. But the big thing I want to emphasize right now is that delegates from each of the associations. Each association's allowed one delegate to vote in the caucuses. So if you're in District 5, you're in that neighborhoods association, you're allowed to send one representative to vote for your neighborhoods commissioner. And that's how the neighborhoods commissioners are elected. We're all volunteer, but we also have to participate in the caucus process. So if you're interested in being a delegate, talk with your association, and the association nominates one person to be a delegate to attend the caucus. John.
John Laban, District 6 Leadership Group, Point Vista neighborhood. I just, first of all, wanted to thank Jim and Olivia Navarro, who's not here today, but they're our neighborhoods commissioners, and they do a very good job of coming out to the neighborhoods. I know you're always telling us when the commission meetings are, but I think it's a challenge for neighborhood leaders like us to get to so many meetings between planning commission, parks commission, arts commission, library commission, early education. I mean, there's just so many commissions, city council meetings, staying on top of stuff's really a challenge. So I guess from my perspective is for Jim's case, and I would push this with the other commissioners, it's awesome when you come out, when you reach out to us and say, hey, when's your neighborhood meeting? When's D6 leadership group? That kind of thing, that level of engagement and being able to bring stuff to us and then take that feedback back is invaluable, because neighborhood leaders are already at too many meetings. But being able to have that is really appreciated.
Yeah, thank you, John.
Thanks, Jim. So again, I'm Michael Young. I'm one of the District 9 neighborhood commissioners. Terry Martin also serves with me. He wasn't able to be here today. I was appointed to the commission in December. I'm filling out the term of another individual that had to step down. The caucus for District 9 Neighborhoods Commission positions is going to be May 1st here at the Camden Community Center at 7 p.m. I would encourage all of you who live in Council District 9 to attend that. There are 6 candidates for that position, including Terry and I. One of the things I wanted to mention is there is a leadership group that has, well, let me back up. There is a steering committee that has been formed to form a leadership group for Council District 9. We are one of the council districts that does not have a leadership group currently, and we feel it's very important to have one in District 9. So the steering committee is working on a set of bylaws and a rollout plan to form a leadership group, and we're hoping in District 9 that we'll be able to form a leadership group this summer. That's our goal. So I wanted to let all of you know about that, and anyone from District 9 that has any questions about that, please talk to me today. And I think just the last thing I wanted to say is that I'm so glad everyone's here today, and my view of the role of myself and the other neighborhoods commissioners is to bring your concerns forward. I mean, I personally have concerns as a resident, but my role is to bring the concerns of Council District 9 residents forward to the Neighborhoods Commission and then hopefully to the City Council and the city staff. And the last thing I'll say is we have 5 neighborhood associations in Council District 9 that are currently active. Terry and I are trying to get out to those meetings as much as we can so that we can share, with all of you what's going on and get input from you. One of the reasons we're forming the leadership group working with United Neighborhoods of Santa Clara County, and thank you to United Neighborhoods for facilitating this, we are trying to develop more neighborhood associations in Council District 9. And I'm really pleased that one of my neighbors, Stacy, is here today, and she's interested in forming a neighborhood association in my neighborhood, which is Oster Elementary School neighborhood in Cambrian Park. So again, thanks for the opportunity, and I'll turn it over to our next commissioner.
I just want to say one additional thing in regards to the caucuses, in regards to the neighborhoods commissioners serving. We serve for a 4-year term. Every 4 years we have to participate again in the caucus. We're allowed to serve for a second 4-year term, and then we're termed out. Larry served for 8 years on the neighborhoods commission, and he was termed out. So,
He's my replacement.
and I'm his replacement. Pretty big shoes to fill. So I just wanted to clarify that. We do serve voluntarily for a 4-year term.
I'm District 1, Gary Cunningham. A couple of issues I'd like to talk about. Number one, when I first got on the commission, I was primarily District 1 focused and had that perspective. Putting me on the commission has given me really a citywide, even county-wide perspective on what's going on. And a lot of these issues that are in other districts of the city will impact our district, and I wouldn't be aware of them unless I was on that commission and really interacting with the other commissioners. Second thing is, I think the commission is effective. There's participation by all the commissioners at the real grassroots. We're getting elected by delegates from the different leadership groups, so we get that feedback. The other commissions, and was touched on, are appointed. There was a movement a few months ago where they wanted to reduce the commission to 10 members appointed by the council. This is the cookie cutter approach they want based on the other commissions. Every other commission has 10 members appointed. I don't know about their effectivity, but I don't think they are as effective as the neighborhood commission. We are multi-purpose. We're not single purpose. And Larry's chart brought up what our charter is, the different areas that we participate in. If you feel that this commission is effective serving your needs, you need to make that known. Okay? And you need to support us. It's a two-way street. We need to get your feedback, what you want us to present at our meetings, and how effective we are. I can only be as effective as the feedback I get from my people. And I do communicate, I do go to the meetings, but it's a two-way street. And if you feel that the commission is serving a purpose, then you need to support them. Thank you. Yes. For the Neighborhoods Commission, yes. Want to know if the 2 commissioners are still in effect for each district on the Neighborhood Commission. Yes, it is.
Yeah. John Semanek from District 4. I'd like to add a footnote to this. A year ago, the commission was under review for possible elimination, reduction to 1 per district, and it was concluded that we would hold where we're at today. So your feedback, gentlemen, here, as far as feedback on the commission, I'd really encourage any feedback you have to your respective council member about the Neighborhoods Commission. Because a city this size and the diversity of this city, I think 2 is the bare minimum. And I'll talk more about the voice of the community when they come to me. So I think that's very important. And I think the footnote, and this is public record, memoranda by Rocha and the Rules Committee, this commission will be under review again over the next 2-year period. So it will be under review in terms of its effectivity, its usefulness to the residents of San Jose. So any feedback you can give to your respective council member is highly encouraged.
Hi, I'm Juan Estrada. I wasn't originally going to be on this panel because I'm on the next panel, so I appreciate that if I'm a little unprepared, that's what it is. I do want to say that I joined the commission many years ago because at the time it was still forming and it could be more effective. And as another commissioner has noted, it's a very effective commission now, and so that's great. I do want to say that the commission's focus, this is very important, and I'll touch on it on my other presentation. The commission's focus is different from the district leadership group and neighborhood associations, as Larry has pointed out. And so the one thing that's very important to keep in mind is the commission is a city body that focuses on the topics in our charter. Like, that's it. That's our scope. The commission follows city rules and city processes. So it's very structured. Some things, like Larry mentioned, parks, are out of scope. And so I point that out because sometimes people think that the commission can do things like a district leadership group or a neighborhood association can do. No, they're different. And so if you want to be more independent, or if you want to wear a more independent hat, the right forum for that is a district leadership group or neighborhood association. If you want to do both, do both. I was a commissioner, and I'm involved separately in one on the commission. I know what I can focus on. I know what I need to do. And in the other one, I can do whatever I want, right? Because I'm just a volunteer. I do also want to point out that, as has been noted, we're volunteers. And like many of you, we focus on a lot of volunteer activities because we care. And so I think that it's great if some commissioners have time to visit multiple neighborhood association meetings per month. But I encourage neighborhood association residents who are interested in a specific topic to attend the neighborhood commission meeting and give public comment or get informed there. I say that because, as I'll touch on in my other presentation, neighborhood association members and neighborhood association leaders and district leadership group people all have different interests. They may have the same interests, they may have interests that overlap, but it's often different. And so someone at a neighborhood association meeting that wants a pothole fixed on their street may not be interested in a topic at the district leadership group level or the commission level. And so, as you can understand, they're all volunteers. We're all volunteers. And so if you tailor the message to the right forum, then you're better off, because you don't want 10 people hearing about something that just doesn't interest them at that time, right? So I want to point that out. So again, I encourage neighborhood association residents and leaders who are interested in commission topics to attend the commission meeting if that topic is relevant for them at that time. And last thing I'll say is, I know that when the commission was reviewed, I can only say that some good came out of it, because it's always good to measure things. If you measure things, they improve, right? And so this was an assessment of the commission. And I think, for example, one of the questions was, should we reduce the size of it? And it was good because the question was posed to the commission, and the commission had to think about it. And we unanimously, I believe, decided no, it should stay 20. But it was good to think about it and to say, no, this is what we think and this is where we stand. And thankfully the city listened. So that's all I got.
My name is Alan Hinman. I was appointed in December of last year to the commission. I was sworn in January, so I'm one of the newer commissioners. I live in the last house in San Jose before you drive into Alviso. The Alviso, North San Jose, and Berryessa communities are our district. I'm spending a lot of time right now in Alviso because I have always felt that they are underrepresented. They are kind of like at the back of the bus. People forget that they're even part of San Jose. Some of the difficulties that we have in Alviso are illegal fireworks. We had a house burned down because of somebody using illegal fireworks, so that is something that we are looking at with not only the fire department but the police department. There have been people arrested selling over 1,000 pounds of illegal fireworks there. The caucus procedures, please, if you know somebody that is willing to get involved and wants to put the time and the effort into learning about our city, it is an eye-opening kind of an endeavor. I really appreciate the time that all the commissioners that have been doing this for 2, 3, 4 years have given me information so that I can become a better commissioner. I know that I keep hearing that the city council and the mayor wanted to bring this down to 1 commissioner per district. I also feel that that would be just wrong. If they knew how many volunteer hours that we put in, it's quite amazing, because when I read the application to become a commissioner, it said like, I believe it was 5 to 15 hours. That's ridiculous. It's much more than that. Other than that, all I can say is stay engaged with what we do. Give us your feedback. Let us know what you want. We'll try to bring it to the right people. And now I'll give you to John.
John Semanek, District 4. My comments are very concentric to neighborhoods and communities of San Jose. And a lot of the issues that were cited in the audit report, I'd really encourage you to look at that resident survey 3,000. It's eye-popping, some of the numbers. One of the things as we move forward as a city, I think community input is vital for the interest. And the audit report talked about capital asset value. And part of that overlaps a lot of issues. And I encourage you to look at the 3rd slide on the Neighborhoods Commission. We're all about public safety, transportation, code enforcement, quality of life issues as it affects the residents. That's pretty broad, but yet it's very narrow at the same time. So that's our context. So like response times, if you look in the survey that was done, that the auditor presented this morning, a lot of those response times are not acceptable. So anything that you have to input that you can give us, and by the way, I didn't mention budget. We are actually an advisory to the City Council on budget issues as well. And when you think about it, everything in San Jose revolves around dollars and cents. It's a fiscal issue. How is allocation of funds done? The mayor wrote a report last Friday on the 9th. It talks about general fund deficits for the next 5 years, and they're all projected to be on average $10 million. And so something's got to give there if we want a balanced budget. He goes on to talk about community issues that overlap that was done in the audit report, that he wants to maintain this community engagement. And if you haven't read that memorandum, I'd really encourage you to read that. He talks about 80% improvement of response times for fire and safety, 911 response times, equipping police, reducing homelessness. And these are all issues that affect the community. So my bottom comment is any feedback you have in all these areas that are part of the scope of the commission, which is pretty much affects all neighborhoods in San Jose. There's uniqueness by neighborhood to neighborhood, but there's a commonality that's taking place that's citywide. Really encourage you to contact any of us with your feedback. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Ed Rast. I was on the S&I ad hoc committee that came up with the concept of the Neighborhood Commission, as well as Harvey Darnell over here. And Harvey was the one who came up with the concept of the caucus. And it's unique. Okay, I'm sorry. It's unique from the point of view of it's never been done in San Jose before, and as far as our knowledge is, it's never been done for any other neighborhood commission. So part of the issues that you're dealing with is something new, so the neighborhoods and the city have to get used to that. There has been issues before, for instance, trying to get the bylaws passed, that because of the structure of it and the newness of it, it's been going on for, 5 or 6 years now, roughly, and there's some frustration on the part of the neighborhood commissioners, as was expressed at the recent meeting. But I think that can all be solved. But the other side of it is one of the concepts was the idea of participatory democracy. If you look at the initial paper, what the S&I came up with, that was the main concept, that we participate in democracy rather directly. And so from that point of view, I think it worked. But also, one of the other concepts was that the district neighborhood leaders would basically input to the commissioners, and also, if necessary, because they had certain types of experience, they would also be included in some of the ad hoc committees, and their input would be direct rather than just indirect through the neighborhood commissioners. But again, that hasn't been done at this point in time, but hopefully it will be in the future. So that, I think that wraps it up, my comment.
Say one more thing. One of the last meeting or the meeting before, people from the city had a report on graffiti and litter for 2017. Volunteer effort in that program was almost 50,000 hours of volunteer time by people in the city. That's extraordinary. That's grassroots. That's people in the community caring about their community and doing stuff, not just looking at stuff, but doing stuff. And I thought that was extraordinary. I wouldn't have known that had I not been on the commission and heard that. That was a citywide presentation. So that's the kind of input I get, and I communicated that back at my last D1 meeting about that, because we have active participation in our community doing that. But those are the kind of things you pick up, and I was encouraged by that, the fact that, you know, city people do care about the city and they're trying to make a difference. So, thank you.
Yes, I'm Pat McMahon from District 10, and assuming that your panel is a representative sample of your commission as a whole, your caucus process seems to have resulted in underrepresentation of women, ethnic minorities, and people under the age of about 40. And all of those subgroups. Oh, so did I. I'm 39 and holding. So anyway, my question is that a concern to you? And if so, what might be some solutions to that?
Yeah, my comment, it is. I think the city is very diverse ethnically, et cetera, and I think it's very important that we encourage that level of selection from those different types of communities and backgrounds. So I personally, and I think everybody here on the commission supports that. Just remember the caucus is steered in a direction that to be objective. And I think more that encouragement of a diverse community at the commission level is very important.
In part, it depends upon who volunteers too, and also on the board, how many could come here today. So, I mean, there are women on the board, they just not on the caucus right here. In fact, right here, Mimi's, here's one. And then Olivia was busy, and let's see, I don't know how many there are right now. Nicole, yeah. So Nicole is the chair. So I mean, there is some diversity, but it depends upon who volunteers too. If nobody volunteers that is in a certain group, they're not going to be selected. So encourage people to volunteer is the main point.
Hi, thank you for making that observation, and you're absolutely right. We are underrepresented. I think it's a problem in general in the city that unfortunately many of the underserved neighborhoods don't have enough participation, not just on this commission, but throughout the city on many different levels. And I think that we on the Neighborhoods Commission and the city staff and elected officials as a whole need to do a better job of reaching out to those communities and encouraging people to participate. And I know that's in Council District 9, one of my goals is to go out to, because Council District 9 is very diverse. We have a large Latino population, we have a large Asian American population, and we have a lot of younger people, as you mentioned. So one of my goals as a neighborhoods commissioner is to go out and reach out to those communities, whether it be faith-based organizations or community service organizations, to get more participation in District 9, to get input. I want to get input from those communities. So I'd like to thank you for making that observation. You're absolutely right.
One of the, one of the comments is, I think you're absolutely right also. One of the issues is it starts at the neighborhood level. In other words, if people do not get involved in a neighborhood association or don't feel that they're accepted within that neighborhood association, then the possibility of getting to the neighborhood commission is slim. The same thing happens at the district level. If you take a look at certain districts, they have more women involved. Other ones don't for one reason or another. Certain districts, for instance, District 5, you've got Juan and Mimi, basically, so it's an equal representation in that district. In District 6, we're the same way. We've got Jim and Olivia, who's Hispanic. So from that point of view, we're trying to do it as best we can, but again, if we don't, one of the issues with a number of groups is a lot of our Hispanic neighbors are not in a position because of family responsibilities, because of income, because of work and other things to be able to participate. One of the issues that's very important, and it's stopping a lot of people under 40 from getting involved, is the idea that we have 160,000 people each day who leave San Jose for work. We drop from the 10th largest city to the 13th during the day. If we had all these people working in San Jose, we have another $200 to $300 million worth of revenue, which would help us a lot. And with the tech companies potentially coming to San Jose, we may be starting that problem. If the people, right now, as an example, the average commute, to give an example, my wife, her average commute was an hour a day. Sometimes it's up to 4 to 5 hours a day between Willow Glen and Palo Alto. And so people cannot get to it. One of the things we're going to talk about is using technology to get people involved, because they can't make the 7 to 9 o'clock typical weekday neighborhood association meeting, or if they try to make it, they get there at 8:30 or 9. It's just impossible. So we have to change along the way, and that's one of the main themes we're going to talk about towards the end of the conference. Thank you.
So I just want to say that I too think it was a great observation. I myself appreciate anyone who's willing to volunteer to do the work, and so I appreciate all of our fellow commissioners and their willingness to step up to the plate. One of the reasons, the primary argument for not reducing the number of commissioners from 20 to 10, just so you know, was because the commission understood that this would limit opportunities for diversity, and we did not want to limit those opportunities. And so the commission was aware, and that was one way that the commission took that stand. And I agree that outreach is best, right? So if you want a more diverse commission, then yes, lots of outreach. If you want more diverse neighborhood association members, ditto, right? Welcome people who are different so that in time you can see a difference. Mimi, did you want to add anything? I hate to put you on the hot spot. Mimi's not up here because she too wasn't supposed to be part of this panel. It was a much more limited panel, and I volunteered to come up. But did you want to add anything to that?
So first, thanks everyone who's out here. I know we have many things pulling at us, so I appreciate everyone that took the time to come out here this morning. I would say, just like some of my fellow commissioners have stated, it is outreach. It is a lot of hours. And my youngest is 26, and I happen to work in a very flexible environment. So it allows me to be able to serve. When I've talked to people across my neighborhood, it's hard. They have small children, they have commitments, they have to take the kids to sport. Maybe they have a 45-minute commute each way. So it is challenging because you do have to go to a lot of meetings. You have to be listening. But I think we could definitely do a better job. I know I'm the one that's always telling, who's like, I love you guys, but can I have different colors and genders here? So yeah, great point. And I would say just be aware of it, and we really want to make sure that people that are running in these caucuses commit to the 4 years. I know it's a long journey, but you'll feel better. You get to serve. I can, when my 8 years are up, hopefully I'll feel good about it and I'll move on to another opportunity. But you do need to be aware that you don't want to use this as a stepping stone to go somewhere else, because you just did the whole neighborhood a disservice. So let's look out for those folks who are ready to serve for a 4-year commitment.
Some questions?
Oh, I won't let them speak.
Right, so Just grab the phone.
Hi, my name is Debbie. I'm from District 2, Eagle Pick Neighborhood Association. So your point was really great in that if we can reduce the commute hours, that will allow more people to have more hours to volunteer. Now, do you know where the city is as far as trying to get the big corporations to move into the city of San Jose? It's been a long time, right, that we've discussed about this issue?
Okay, sorry, thanks. So, some of the, okay, let's see. Amazon has moved in or is in the process of moving in. Apple is in the process of moving in. Google is potentially coming. There's other companies that have come in recently. So because we have a lot of open space or a lot of commercial buildings, and we are going to be getting BART to San Jose and potentially high-speed rail to San Jose, I think that's attractive. Also, our cost of rentals is very low, but unfortunately our cost of housing is high. So one of the things that I think when the companies come in, if they already have employees like Google do, we are told that Google has about 10,000 employees who work in Mountain View and Sunnyvale. If they would try, one of the things I think the community should ask them, it's good for everybody, is can they have some of those employees who actually live in San Jose work downtown, rather than it cuts the commute, it makes it better for the employees. They can use public transit or bicycle or whatever, and also it has less of an impact on the cost of housing here because they are already living here. And also from Google's point of view, they save a lot of money and they have a lot more happy employees because they're not having to take the buses and all the other things. It takes a lot of the traffic off the streets. So I think there's ways that if we all work together, we can come up with a solution that's a win for everybody. But again, you need neighborhood input, because the simple thing is, oh, we're just going to do it, and that's it. So, but if you have neighborhood input on a lot of these things, then I think it's going to work. Without
One
it,
of the things I'd like to comment too, I'd really encourage you to look at the urban village plan for the city. That's the idea that people will work and live in the same area. So that's a long topic, we don't have time here, but that urban village kind of overlaps that. I mean, the Google thing's going to take a number of years, whereas the urban village, there's several that are in the works today, and every year you're going to see more urban village. So I think urban village is a factor to help that.
This is Juan Estrada. I want to point out a couple of things. One is that I think technically that question is out of the scope of the commission, and so I just want to point out that any responses you hear are not from the commission. I myself as a commissioner would not speak to that question, maybe as a resident or a district leader. And so I really encourage the commission members up here, if another question is asked that is out of scope of the commission, that you clarify that your response is, yeah.
Let's not get nitpicky. I think your question reflected around transportation. I mean, that's what I heard.
well, well, I guess it's a mix of
Thank you.
transportation and then trying to get these big corporations come into San Jose, which has been discussed
to
for a
be
long
clear,
time, but I don't know where the
To be
city
clear, the
is.
context of my answer was revolving around transportation, which urban village would have an effect on. So
I was just
let's
trying to
be
help,
clear.
not critique. Thank you.
Thank you.
No, I appreciate that comment also, because I also want to know who or where to go to in regards to that issue. Which departments should I go and voice my opinions so that I don't go all around and waste time?
Part of it is go to the city council and tell them to stop converting commercial land to residential land.
Which department is that?
City council, they vote on each parcel.
Okay.
Okay.
So the council member,
Just for
okay.
clarification, I am not on the neighborhood commission. Okay, so in other words, I can comment upon something like that the other people can't comment because of the restrictions of being on a commission. So basically, that's one of the reasons why I commented the way I did. And so Harvey?
Where you would go would be the Office of Economic Opportunity. Kim Wallish is the head. Nancy Klein is the assistant director.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you.
Harvey's also not on the neighborhood commission.
Hi everybody, my name is Rowan. I'm from Gardner Neighborhood, And speaking of diversity on the Neighborhood Commission, I come from Gardner neighborhood, which is among some of the poorest neighborhoods in San Jose. They're all kind of clustered together, Gardner, Delmas Park, Washington, and we're in the 3rd district of Neighborhood Commission. And we actually did put forward a candidate. His name was Andrew Tubbs. And he was told that I'm not trying to have a go at any of you guys, I'm just saying, he was told that he was basically unsuitable, and then another candidate was chosen to be the placeholder. Now, we are in the downtown district, but we also have a lot of people who are not in downtown, but our leadership has always been from downtown exclusively. What could we do to get someone from our little belt in the near downtown? Because he was told that, oh, you're not really suitable for this, but then another person was chosen from downtown.
District 3's caucus will be held, I believe, on April 18th. Currently, I think they have 4 or 5 candidates that'll be running for the commissioner spot. And so I would encourage you, if you're a representative of your neighborhood association, if you're going to be the delegate, to attend that caucus.
Okay.
That may help to alleviate the issue that you're talking about, because you'll be able to hear the candidates themselves describe what their qualifications are and the areas that they come from and why they might be more suitable as a candidate, as a commissioner.
This is Juan. I just want to point out, when you reference that the leaders have typically been from downtown, I didn't know if you meant the neighborhood/district leadership people. And if so, then that's entirely separate from the commission. And as the response was related to the commission process, the caucus, and candidates for commission.
Well, District 3 is downtown plus the Gardner neighborhood, so the caucus and a few, right. But the caucus process, you discuss amongst yourselves and try to come up with a compromise. Realize that more people live downtown than your area, so it'll be a good discussion, but you may be able to convince them. So go to the caucus.
And there's currently 2 openings for District 3. So there'll be 2 commissioners that'll be appointed to the commission.
Well, so yeah. So currently Pete Kolstad, I don't know where he is today, but he will be running again, I guess?
No, Pete Kolstad is not running.
Really? That's not what he told me.
That's not what we know.
Okay, so that's good to know. And then so he's going to finish out his term, and then there's the placeholders, the lady, I don't remember her name.
Yes.
So they're both up for grabs, both of these positions.
Exactly. There's 2 positions up for District 3.
Okay, good to know. Thank you.
Also, just a real quick thing, and Ed may touch on it when he does his technology presentation, but if you want to get a hold of us or any of the commissioners that are on the commission, we all have email addresses. Mine in particular is nc6a@sanjoseca.gov. So
Neighborhood Commission, district number, and then letter A or B.
right, so you can get a hold of any one of us as commissioners.
And if you don't know which one, write to both A and B.
Put some number in there and one of us will answer.
NC6A@sanjose.ca.
NC for Neighborhoods Commission, district number, and the letter A or B at sanjoseca.gov.
As you know, Alan Hinman, District 4, I'm going to be facilitating your caucus, and it is 5. It will be on the 18th, and if you have any other questions about that procedure, you can forward anything to me. I'm NC4B at sanjoseca.gov.
Okay.
We still need to nail down the venue.
Okay.
I'll get back to you on
Okay.
Thank you.
Appreciate everybody's comments. We started off late, and we're not going to be able to cover a lot of things. So we have to be out of here by 1 o'clock, which means that basically we can probably go into maybe about 12:20 if we have everybody's help in putting everything away, because we have to actually have the doors closed and everything has to be put away. So I think at this point in time, I think we need to move on to thank you, for all the panelists on the Neighborhood Commission, and I think there's more conversation. One of the things that I think is interesting is this is the first time that the neighborhood leaders and the neighborhood commissioners as a group have been in one room at one time. And all the times we've had we started the first neighborhood district leader group in 2005. So it's and one of the questions to everybody is, do we want to do something like this again on an annual basis?